Now this module is designed to cover the domain that is called the process of auditing information systems. Now this module is going to focus on the process of auditing your information systems to make sure that you're covering the entire practice of IS auditing. That would be all the procedures, making sure you have a thorough methodology designed to let the auditing team be able to perform an audit on any given IT area and do so in a professional manner. Now the objective of this particular domain, this module, is to ensure that you have the knowledge necessary to provide these audit services that are in accordance with the IT audit standards and designed to assist the organization with protecting and controlling their information systems. Now there are several tasks that we're going to see as we go through this module. Number one, you're going to work at learning how to develop and implement a risk-based IT audit strategy, one that's in compliance with the IT audit standards to cover all of the key areas. The second one is you're going to be able to plan specific audits to determine whether the information systems are protected, controlled, and to be able to provide value to the organization through the use of this audit. We also want to make sure that we can conduct audits in accordance with the IT audit standards to achieve planned objectives, and to report audit findings and make recommendations to the key stakeholders. And finally, we want to be able to see how to conduct follow-ups and prepare the status reports to ensure that the appropriate actions have been taken by management in a timely manner. Now, what's important to know is we're not going to tell you step by step every single thing you should go through in the process of auditing, but rather we are creating a framework and guidelines. It's actually a series of guidelines, standards, and procedures that you can follow and use to be able to implement your audit plan that's going to be in accordance to whatever contract you have with the organization that you're doing the audit on. This lesson is designed to talk about management's role of the audit function. Now, if you think about management, I am talking about management of the auditing team, not necessarily the upper management of the organization that's being audited. Now, when we look at it from the management perspective, the auditing should be managed and led in a manner that makes sure that all of the tasks that you are chartered to do are performed and accomplished by that audit team. In fact, management should make sure the auditors maintain independence during this function, as well as maintaining their competence in the auditing process. Now, we'll talk later about them having the competence in what they are auditing, but right now it's important that they understand really what is involved in conducting an actual audit. And as those guidelines and procedures change, they need to be up to date in their competence about that process. The audit function should have something that's value added as a contribution that the senior management can use. In other words, senior management needs this information to be able to, number one, understand where risks are and what they might be able to do to mitigate some of their risks, or to have an assurance that the controls they have in place are doing the job that they're supposed to do. And a lot of this goes to some high-level types of certifications to maintain laws and regulations. So, yeah, there's a lot of value-added contributions that senior management will get as a result of the audit. And of course, the audit function should also achieve the business objectives. And again, those objectives I talked about could be to maintain certain types of regulatory laws or certifications that are required by the company to do their business. Now, when we look at the organization of the IS audit function, we know that the audit services can be what we call external or internal. Now, internal means that the audit should be established by a contractor or charter and have the approval of senior management. Now, this can be an internal audit. It can function as an independent group. And remember, that is important. The auditors should function independently as they're going through this process. The audit committee integrated within a financial and operational audit can provide IT-related control assurance to the financial or management auditors. So those are types of internal-based audit services. Now, the external types would be audit services that are provided by an outside firm, meaning not people that are employed by the company. Now, the scope and objectives of these services should be listed in some very formal contracts between the organization and the external auditing team. In fact, I like to tell people that when they go in to do these auditings, depending on what they're doing, this contract and these permissions that they have, these agreements that we have that say what we can do, are their get-out-of-jail-free cards. Because if you think about it, as you're going through some of the auditing requirements, you might, find weaknesses, and in the attempt to test those weaknesses, may come across information that might be of kind of high-level, top-secret information that the organization doesn't want to get out. And if you were just kind of doing your audit and you said, ooh, let's check on this control over here, and you go after and check on something that you're not under contract to even be looking at, that's where you have problems, right? So it's kind of, the fine line between auditing sometimes, and some people might think of hacking into systems, right? It's important that you remember to keep in accordance with your contract, and it should very specifically spell out what it is that you're auditing, and that's part of that agreement that we have, especially with an external firm. Now, whether we're doing either internal or external auditing, there should be an independence of that auditing team. As I talked about, we don't want them to necessarily, I guess I look at it this way. In auditing, let's say, a bank type of a situation, if I'm working for the bank manager and the results of my auditing could embarrass that bank manager, there might be some sort of pressure on me from the person responsible for my job to keep some of that information quiet and secret. And I don't want that kind of pressure. I want to make sure there is true independence, so that when I go in there, I'm doing an objective job, knowing that the results, I'm going to report on them fairly and honestly, accurately, and not have to worry about the potential of another person putting that undue influence to kind of hide things or to sugarcoat the results. So we want that true independence, and we can achieve that internally. It's just a matter of who we select as a part of our team. Anyway, we know that they should be independent, and of course their goal is to report to the higher levels of management. Now, one of the things we have to look at in managing audits is our resource management. Now, technology changes, and it's important that as management, we ensure that the auditors are up to date with their skill sets. I kind of hinted at that already. That means that there's going to be required training that should be directed to new auditing techniques and training into their updates of the knowledge of technology. The ISACA, which I'm just going to pronounce it the ISACA, standards require that the auditing team be technically competent in what they do. And that makes sense to me, right? Because how can I adequately audit something I have no clue how it operates? And so we want to make sure we actually know what it is that we're auditing as far as the technology, so that we can adequately be able to say if it's functioning the way it should. Now, management should consider the auditor's skills and knowledge when they plan the audit. In other words, you need to know what that person's capable of doing so that you can plan to put them in the right location to do the right part of the auditing plan.